the other two teams in this division, the Patriots versus the Jets, they played each other, and I think got to credit these two teams. Everyone in the league, everyone in the NFL community, and even myself, I was like not keen for this match at all. Thought it was going to be rubbish. Went to the beach during it because I just didn't care. But it has to be said, it was actually a lot better game than we were expecting. Flacco put on a bit of a first half clinic, and yeah.
And then the NFC East, I've gone for a bold call. I'm going to say the New York Giants.
Queensland! It's a miracle! Oh, yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle. Oh, the ball is close! He's given him! He's given him! Peter Siddle's got a hat-trick on his birthday!
Welcome back to the On the Ball podcast. This is episode 84 of the show. Once again here for our weekly NFL. This week it's week 9, so our week 9 review. Pilch, welcome back, mate. How are you?
Cheers, mate. Very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty good. Favorite time of the week is always the 2 NFL podcasts we do. So as I said before, today is a week 9 review. Tomorrow we'll have a week 10 fantasy preview for you. But yeah, I reckon without further ado, we just get straight into it. Similar structure to last week, but a couple new segments. So we'll just see how it goes. Match of the week, mate. What are you going with here?
Yeah, so I don't think I went the obvious one here. I went Raiders Chargers. Tight divisional matchup. Pre-game, the odds were dead even, $1.90 each way. No one could pick it, and it came down to the very last play where the Chargers receiver, no idea what his name is, don't think he has a catch in his entire career.
It's like Donald Parham or something.
Yeah, something like that.
It's like their third tight end.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't throw it to Keenan Allen, but anyway, he caught the ball. I don't know why it was overturned. I think he didn't have control of it or something.
He had his 2 feet down and was juggling it, and then as he gained control, one of his feet lifted.
Yeah, similar thing happened in the Niners game on Thursday night, actually. Some myth caught one, same thing happened. But yeah, tight game. I was rooting for the Chargers. Unfortunately, didn't get up, but it was a great game.
Yeah, it's starting to get pretty silly now, all these Chargers near wins, because almost similar to the Falcons in a way, they're actually starting to look all right. So, like, if you turn those near wins into wins, all of a sudden they're in the playoff picture, because I think that's 3 now that they probably should have won. It's starting to become pretty costly for them. It already has been pretty costly for them. My match of the week, I don't know if this is the obvious one, probably is Dolphins versus Cardinals. Dolphins snuck home with a 34-31 win, but the main story of the night was the matchup of the 2 young quarterbacks, Tua Tagovailoa versus Kyler Murray, and both killed it, really. I do my 10-1 votes for every round, and they both featured in it. We'll talk about that a bit later, though. And yet, it came down to a field goal in the last 2 minutes, and Zane Gonzalez missed it. He left it short, and it was only like a 45-yard.
Did you see it live?
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre.
It was weird. I thought it was going straight through.
Yeah, you could see even he was like, wait, what happened there? And I think everyone was kind of thinking the same. But yeah, it was just a pretty exciting game. Was high scoring, and yet both teams are looking. It was an important game because both teams are looking to make the playoffs for the first time in a few seasons. So, well done to the Dolphins and Tua. Looking strong candidates for the playoffs now.
Yeah, that was a great win by the Finns.
But yeah, Kyle, I think, had over 100 rushing yards or something. So
yeah, he is ridiculous.
Yeah, he is a beast. He's a joke. He's so fast.
We're talking he's better than last year Lamar.
I genuinely think he is, but yeah, he's not even like close to the MVP conversation, which I think is quite interesting.
I actually think he's huge value at the moment because he's like 5th favourite still.
Yeah, I think the whole MVP conversation's a bit cooked at the moment. I think it's pretty wrong in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't think Rush should be $2.10, but anyway. All right, moving on to our main section of the episode, our winners and losers. We'll start with you, mate. Our first winner of the day. Who are you going with here?
Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins. Huge winners. The bloke looked like an absolute beast. Obviously, he had a bit of a... I think he had like 80 yards or something against the Rams. People were kind of asking a few questions, but came out against the Cardinals, absolutely beasted it. And basically proving that this quarterback draft class is one of the best we've seen for a very long time. Because Burrow, Herbert, and Tua are all freaks.
Yeah, they're absolutely flying. It looked like Tua might have been letting down the boys after that first match, but it's looking like that was just a one-off against a very good defense. And yeah, put on an absolute clinic. I was mostly impressed by his rushing plays. I didn't really I know he's a mobile QB, but I didn't really when he tucked the ball under his arm, he actually full sent it, and he wasn't scared to get hit and stuff, which was good to see. I like when quarterbacks just do that. But yeah, awesome performance from the Dolphins, and yeah, week after week, their chances of making the playoffs get stronger, and this was a huge win for them because now, a big win over a tough team like that is definitely going to help their case. But yeah, Tua's looking awesome, and I'm liking the Dolphins.
Yep.
We'll talk about in a little bit whether we think they'll make the playoffs or not. But yeah, very excited. I feel like I've got to shout out my mate from cricket, Dil Vanderwerp. He talks to me about the Dolphins in the potty every week, so we're talking about the Dolphins in the potty here, so on the potty, so I feel like I'll give him a shout out. For me, my first win is actually, I don't know if I'm stealing any of your thunder here, but I'm actually going to go the AFC East as a whole, so including the Dolphins, but the whole division I think had a pretty good week. The Bills were the biggest winners in my eyes of this week in the AFC. The Saints might have something to say about that in the whole league, but they were 6-2 going into it, so you can't say they were on struggle street at all, but they weren't playing that good. They dominated it in the first 3 or 4 weeks, but it was against bad teams. Well, the Dolphins before they kind of hit form, but then I think they played the Jets and something like that. But yeah, this is their first real good performance against a good side. And I think the scoreboard was pretty flattering to the Seahawks in the end. I think they had 2 touchdowns in the last part of the final quarter, which didn't really represent how much of a flogging this match was, because the Bills just dominated them in every aspect of the game. The Bills, their offense had been, struggling a little bit recently. So for them to put up 44 points, I know it was against the lackluster Seahawks defense, but pretty good. Allen looks like September Josh Allen once again after a pretty bad month there in October. And yeah, more importantly, their defense, they did concede 33 points or whatever, but a few of the players who have been underperforming this year started to make a few plays on the weekend, and they look like they're slowly returning to last year's defensive form. So if they can get that going and then combine it with their offense, it's looking a lot better this year. They're going to be a tough team to play in the playoffs, I reckon, because they're looking pretty nice.
Yep, agreed.
And then the other 2 teams in this division, the Patriots versus the Jets, they played each other, and I think got to credit these 2 teams. Everyone in the league, everyone in the NFL community, and even myself, I was not keen for this match at all. Thought it was going to be rubbish. Went to the beach during it because I just didn't care. But it has to be said, it was actually a lot better game than we were expecting. Flacco put on a bit of a first half clinic, and yeah, the Jets just looked way better with Perryman, Mims, and Crowder. They played their first game all together, their 3 main wideouts, and yeah, they just looked heaps better. It looks like New England's finally found a wide receiver in Jacoby Myers. He's beasted now for 3 weeks straight, I think it is. And then Rex Burkhead, I think he had a game in week 3 where he really stood up, and then yeah, he kind of took over this game in the second half. He really put on a show, and yeah, Newton, he didn't have ridiculous passing yards or anything like that, but he was very efficient in the air, and he ran for 2 touchdowns as well, I think. So Patriots just got up, but I think ultimately both teams, I think fair play to them. They gave us a relatively decent Monday night footy game yesterday, so appreciate that. I don't think either team has much hope going forward. I think they're both well and truly out. But interesting to know, I did tweet this, so get around me on Twitter if you don't. But the Jets last year, they were 1-7, I think, going into week 9, and then they went 6-3 in the second half of the year. So it'll be interesting to track their progress for the rest of the year. Maybe Trevor Lawrence in the back of the mind as well.
I couldn't believe that, by the way. Like, I do not remember the Jets turning it up in the second half of the year last year. We're talking, I thought they went 4-12.
Yeah, no, I remember that when I was doing my predictions at the start of this year. I was looking at everyone's record last year. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I think the Dolphins did the same thing as well.
Yeah, I remember the Dolphins doing it, though, just not the Jets. I just thought...
I think, I might be wrong, but I think the Dolphins and Jets played each other in like week 7 or something. And it was like, yeah, people were saying like who's going to tank more. And then I'm pretty sure they both like actually came home pretty strong. And I think the Dolphins got like 5 wins and the Jets had like 7. So yeah, kind of surprising, but yeah, who knows? So those teams with bad records maybe don't completely forget about them just yet. They might have a bit to say about the playoff picture and might get a few upset wins. And yeah, looking forward to what the Jets can do from here because they looked a lot better. Who's your next winner?
Yeah, huge one here. The Saints offense. Michael Thomas finally came back in after about 9 weeks, and the offense just absolutely clicked. He didn't produce huge numbers himself, but you know, he takes out their best corner. Safety's got to watch him, whatever, and it just frees up the entire offense. And they were moving the ball with absolute ease. Drew Brees still wasn't passing more than 2 meters at a time, but doesn't need to. They were moving it up like they were versing a high school team. Tampa did play like shit, but they still have a great defense, and the Saints just balled out. So it looks like they're back to being the real deal.
Yeah, they look so good. Like that offense was insane. It was good to finally see everyone back healthy. I don't think they had a single offensive piece out injured. So yeah, it was good to see what it looked like at full force. And I kind of felt like a bit of an idiot. They were my Super Bowl winner prediction back in like July or whenever we did those prediction episodes, and I felt a bit stupid about that. But yeah, on Sunday night, felt a lot more comfortable with my decision. I think there's still a chance. I think, don't know where you sit on this, but I reckon they're right up there in the NFC now, even though it's just been one comprehensive win and the rest of their season's still been shaky. But I think that's how good the win was. But yeah, Taysom Hill, strangest footballer of all time, I reckon. Like, it is unreal what that bloke can do. And then their defense finally had a good game. They've been struggling all year, and they put on a clinic. The pass rush was elite. Trey Hendrickson, he had, I think, 2 sacks. He had one period where he almost had 3 in a row, and then one was there was a flag from another player elsewhere. And yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I actually reckon the Michael Thomas injury might actually help the Saints because I think they learn how to play without him, and then putting him back in, he's more just like a complementary piece rather than him being the main thing, and then everyone works around him. So I think the Thomas injury, in hindsight, might have actually helped the Saints out, but we'll see how they go in the next few weeks. That might have just been a one-off. He might go back to 20 catches a game or whatever. So, but yeah, very exciting signs for the Saints. Before we move on to the next one, just a reminder to subscribe to the channel. Hate doing this, but we get a lot of viewers, but not too many subscribers. So would be nice to see if you hit the red button. Do you have any more winnings to talk about
as well?
Yeah, around it all, mate.
Yeah, I've got one more, and that is the New York Giants. This is a bit of bias because I like them for some reason, but got up against the Washington football team, and surprisingly, they're only 1 win out of top spot in their division. I think 1 win, 1 draw, maybe. So if you look at it that way, they're still a sniff. And to be honest, considering the injuries they've copped this season, or if they had all those players like Saquon Barkley, then I reckon they would be right in the hunt. Obviously, they'd still be like 3-6 or whatever. But I mean, that division's so bad. But I reckon they are actually sniffs.
I think they're all still sniffs, to be honest. Like, I don't even write out. I don't even write it. I don't even know though, because there's so many divisional games left. and like the Washington have Detroit this week. I know Detroit would be the favourites going into it, but a win there, which is not off the cards. All of a sudden they're 3 wins and they're not too far away from top spot. But yeah, they probably are the weakest link, especially in terms of offense. But
huge game this week, Giants Philly, the second fixture. That'll be huge.
Yeah, even though it's a bit of a piss take, everyone's been taking the piss out of this division. It's actually going to provide some interesting divisional matchups in the second half of the year. Because every team's in it, so every time there's an NFC East game on, we know it's got huge playoff implications. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'll have you know, Philly actually have the hardest strength of schedule in that division remaining. So that's quite interesting as well. My final winner is the Vikings. All of a sudden, they're a sniff for a wild card, I reckon. They've come back from the dead.
It hurts.
They've gone. They currently have a record of 3-5. I think in their last 5 matches, they've gone 3-2. They've beaten the Packers and Detroit in back-to-back matches. And out of that 3-5 record, they've had 2 1-point losses. So if you turn those into wins, they could have been sitting at 5-3. But yeah, they're really looking good at the moment. They have the second highest strength of victory in the NFC. And I was looking at some of the fixtures remaining. They've got the 9th easiest fixture remaining. In the next month, they've got the Bears, Cowboys, Panthers, and Jags. So a huge game against the Bears this week. But if they can beat the Bears, then they can honestly win those next 3 games, and they'll be sitting at 7-5, and you'd probably have to write them in for the wildcard spot. But yeah, if they score first or score early, they're pretty hard to stop because then they just give the ball to Dalvin all the time. And
Chicago has an elite run D though.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting matchup. But good thing for the Vikings is the Bears probably won't score too many points, so they'll probably be able to run it for most of the game. I think the Vikings kryptonite are the teams who can put up like 30 points because then the Vikings kind of have to start throwing it a bit more.
That's a good point.
But yeah, if they get up early against the Bears, even with that good run defense, it's going to be hard to stop them because they're just on fire. Well, Dalvin Cook's on fire at the moment. So yeah, that was my final winner. Do you want to go into your losers now?
Yes. So first up, Tom Brady in Tampa. Pretty much the inverse to the Saints one, but he got absolutely embarrassed, and I read that it was the first time in his entire career, he's been playing for about 20 years, that he's ever trailed by 30 points in a match. Yeah. So yeah, he just got completely embarrassed, and I'd be worried about Tampa, but I still have them above the Saints. I still reckon they'll take the division.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I still think they'll win it, but in terms of I think the Saints are better than them. So, but I just think the Buccaneers will, just with the remaining fixture, I think they'll win that division still. But yeah, the Saints went up to 3rd favorite for the title.
And
which I thought was pretty interesting.
That's where the Bucks were, I think. Well, they might have even been 2nd.
Yeah, Bucks dropped down to 6th, I think. Yeah. So, it was a pretty big game. The punters strongly reacted to it. But yeah, they got absolutely smashed, didn't they? Every aspect. Did you see they broke the record for the least carries ever in a match?
Really?
Ever, of all time. And they had 5, and one was a quarterback kneel. So realistically, there was only 4. This is the most ever in history since 1923 or whenever it started.
They had all of their offensive weapons too. AB, Godwin, Evans, Gronk, and I don't know. I actually don't know what happened.
Yeah, but for me, more of a concern was the defense. Like, I know that offense shouldn't be scoring 3 points, whatever they scored, but that defense is meant to be the best part of that team, and they conceded 38 points. And as you said, they look like a high school defense, just getting outclassed those first 3 or 4 drives from the Saints. If it wasn't for Jared Cook, they could have scored 50 plus. What
did Jared Cook do?
I think pretty sure he fumbled one on.
That's right. Yeah, he did.
And then there was another one on the 5th drive. He did something else that cost the Lions. I can't remember what he did, but he had 2 plays that kind of cost the boys. But for me, it's starting to get a little bit worrying about the Bucks. Though they lost to the Bears, almost lost to the Giants, and now this. That's 3 slip-ups in 9 weeks, it's starting to get a little bit worrying for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And especially with the Bucks, like, we thought they were going to start slow and get better every week. So, yeah, it's quite interesting that they've had a few mishaps at this stage of the season, but definitely not writing them off at all. But, yeah, interesting how they're going recently. I'll go this one because I don't reckon you'll have it. My first loser is the Bears. They've kind of been faking it all year. We've talked about it on this show all the time, how bad they are. But they had a 5-1 record, so you couldn't really go in on them. But they've gone 0-3 in the last 3 matches, and they now sit at 5-4.
You love to see it.
Yeah, big loss to the Titans on the weekend. It was a pretty big match for both sides. I think if the Bears won it, they would have been 6-3, and it would have been hard to see them miss out on the wild card spot from there. But yeah, now they still have an easy fixture to go. They've got the 7th easiest, and they've got to play teams like the Lions and stuff. So they're definitely not out of the playoff picture. But with Matt Nagy's play calling, it's probably some of the worst in the competition. Like, you'll have a 3rd and 8, and they'll give it to Montgomery, who's averaging 2 yards per carry. Like, not sure about the logic there. But yeah, as I mentioned, the run game's not working. Montgomery's struggling to get over 3.5 yards per carry, and now he's injured. Nick Foles is just getting destroyed week in, week out. Pretty much every passing attempt he makes, he's like a second away from getting decked. So, yeah, big worries at the Bears, and I almost hope they miss out on the playoffs because they will be so boring in the playoffs. Whoever they all play will make such a boring match because they legit. The only way they can win is by keeping teams under 20 points. Like, that's all they can do. So, yeah, pretty frustrating. But I still think they're a chance to make it. I'll talk about it in our next segment where we predict a playoff bracket, whether I think they'll get there. But, yeah, not looking good in the last month for the Bears.
They should genuinely sign Matt Ryan from Atlanta, just so they can grab a quarterback.
They should have made a move for a QB, I reckon, or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Do you reckon if they had like a genuine like top 12 QB in the league, like Matt Ryan or someone like that, they would be in the window?
Nah, I don't reckon.
They would make the playoffs though.
Yeah, I still think they're a good chance to make the playoffs. I just think their offense completely cooked in pretty much every aspect. So yeah, I don't know if a base quarterback would even change it, but maybe, I don't know. Who's your next loser?
My next loser is Seattle. Just their defense is on pace to concede the most yards in a season of all time this year, and they're 6-2. So basically, if Russell Wilson doesn't play absolutely off his face, then they're not going to win. So to be that reliant on one player is not a good sign. And it was shown this week against the Bills where their defense just could not handle anything. So with that defense, I don't think they can be considered a genuine threat to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I was looking at some of the odds before, and I think their Super Bowl odds were too good. Like, I think they should be
way lower.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they might have been better than the Packers and the Bucks, which I completely disagree with.
Yeah,
but yeah, their defense, like the Packers are in a similar situation where their defense is flawed, but Seattle's is just that much worse.
Yeah. When's going to be Adams back though?
Like I think he came back on the weekend.
Oh, did he? He's not going to rescue their defense.
Pretty sure. I don't know 100%. I think I remember. I can't because I didn't watch that game. I watched the other one. I only watched this one in the last quarter, so I think he came back there on the weekend. But yeah, if he didn't come back, I think it's soon. But yeah, one player is probably not going to make a difference. Yeah. So yeah, worrying signs for the Seahawks. Pete Carroll in his press conference, he said they thought they were going to run the ball a lot more, and they had a really good game plan for their run, but they weren't ready for the pass. Some of the strangest coaching of all time there, but fair enough. And yeah, I don't know where you stand, but I think Russ's MVP credentials are starting to dwindle a little bit. I think he had 3 interceptions or something, but more importantly, the team, if they're not looking as dominant, and I think they're going to need to, have 12 plus wins for him to get the MVP. And I think each week Rodgers and Mahomes are starting to catch him, if not overtake him, even Kyler. So he's got to get back to that form. Not like he's been out of form or anything, but he's got to keep balling if he wants to stay ahead of the pace.
Yep, agreed.
My next loser is actually like inverse of the AFC East, just the whole NFC West. Seahawks included. But yeah, 49ers, they got pretty, like the scoreboard wasn't too bad. I think it was like 34-17 or something, but the 49ers got absolutely bashed by the Packers there. First game with Kittle and Jimmy G on IR, and it didn't look great. The offense, they were missing a lot of weapons, but it didn't look too good. The defense struggled. Mullins didn't look great against a pretty average defense. They're now 4-5 with the Saints this week, and then they've got the bye, and then they've got the Rams and the Bills. So I think we can almost all but put a line through the 49ers.
Yeah, they're cooked.
I think it would be very hard for them to make it from here. And then the Cardinals lost an important game to the Dolphins. I think they're still likely to make the playoffs. But yeah, the NFC West, Seahawks are probably like pretty much guaranteed to win that division, I reckon. But for the other three, their wild card chances all took a hit this week. Even the Rams, because of like the Saints and stuff having a good week. So yeah, not good for the NFL's best division, the NFC West, or supposed best division. Do you have another loser?
Yeah, the Patriots, especially their defense, conceding 27 points to the Jets. And I mean, I don't want to accuse them of tanking, but the last 10 minutes, they pretty much just threw the game away. Like, the Jets should never have lost that match. I think Flacco threw a pick, and then they let the Patriots score and then quickly get another field goal. But yeah, the Patriots looked very average. Newton didn't look great. I know he has no weapons, but he missed some wide open targets in the second half, which didn't look too good. But the main worry, is their defense. Like, they're still known to be like an elite defense, but they're just not performing. Like, especially their corners. Like, I don't know what Gilmore's doing this season. I think he's not even their best corner anymore. JC Jackson is ranked higher than him, which is quite weird. But yeah, to concede 300 yards to Joe Flacco and the Jets is not great.
Yeah,
ugly performance.
Yeah, I was listening to a potty, and they were saying they reckon Gilmore's performance is down because the pass rush isn't there. But yeah, pretty much all aspects of the defense is pretty cooked this year. I feel bad for them because they let those players in free agency go, not knowing that like 2 months later, half the defense was going to opt out. But it's not good footy from them at all. And they're, can we say 100% out of playoffs? Can we say that?
100%.
I think we can. I agree with you there. 100% gone.
They might cop a top 10 draft pick.
And there's that stat going around that they haven't drafted a Pro Bowler since 2013. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that top 10 pick. All right, that's it for that section. Now, a new section of the potty. I was trying to think of another segment because we were a bit short last week. So we're going to do our predicted playoff bracket, and this is our opening one, so we'll talk about every single position in the playoffs, but moving from next week, we'll kind of just talk about the changes we'll make from our previous week's one. But to start us off, mate, the NFC playoff bracket, who have you got winning the divisions and who have you got sneaking into the wild cards?
Yep, NFC, I've got Packers, pretty obvious. Seahawks, I've still got them winning it. I mean, the Cardinals are looking like they actually might be a sniff, but I'll give it to the Seahawks. And then the NFC East, I've gone for a bold call. I'm going to say the New York Giants. Take it out.
Spicy. Very spicy.
And the South, talked about it before. I've still got the Buccaneers, but the Saints will obviously make it as well. So they're going to be my 5th seed. And then I've got the Cardinals. And then 7th place, I think it's going to be someone from the NFC North, whoever comes second in that. I've written down the Lions because I'm a Lions fan. It probably won't be the Lions, but I think it'll be whoever comes second in that division.
Yeah, that's outrageous, mate. The Lions, that would be a miracle if they did it from here, to be honest. I haven't ranked mine, but I'll just do it on the fly. My number one, I'll back you there with the Packers. Number two, I'll go the Bucks. Number three, Seahawks. Number four, I agree with you that it's anyone's game, but I still think the Eagles are the better team. Big game this week against the Giants. And then fifth seed, the Saints. Sixth seed, the Cardinals. And then seventh seed, I'm still backing the Bears. Agree with you, though, that it's going to be the second place team in the NFC North. Don't think anyone else. Oh, the Rams, I guess they're kind of in contention, but I don't really like the Rams that much.
Vikings, Bears this week will decide.
Yeah, I think if the Vikings win this week, I think we'll be discussing the Vikings as my seventh seed next week because I prefer the Vikings over the Bears. But yeah, I've still got the Bears sneaking in.
Yeah. I reckon the Bears will beat them this week.
Yeah, hoping so. Well, actually, no, I'm not hoping so. I'm hoping the Vikings win. But we'll hear your predictions for that one at the end. AFC, though, who have you got here, mate?
Yeah, number one seed, Chiefs over the Steelers. Not sure how bold that is, but the Steelers kind of looked pretty average against Dallas this week, and the Chiefs are just miles better, in my opinion. But the Steelers will be the two, and then Bills 3, Titans. I've got Titans winning the South, and then Ravens, Indy, Dolphins making up the 3 wildcard places.
I think we've got the exact same. Oh no, so my number one, Chiefs as well. My number two, Steelers. How worried are you about the Steelers after that performance on the weekend? I can't lie, I'm starting to be a bit skeptical of them. I still think they're the second best team in the AFC, but I don't know if they're good enough to win 3 or 4 games straight in the playoffs, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're Super Bowl favourites or anything like that, but they're still big threats. I'm not too worried.
Yeah, I think the NFC teams, they're less consistent, but I think they're more likely to beat the Chiefs, in my opinion. I just don't know. I guess the Steelers' defense has a better chance of restricting them to 25 points or something.
Their defense is just elite.
So good. Yeah. That was a bit worrying against the Cowboys. And then my third seed, I don't know who to go higher. Yeah, the Titans, but they're against the Colts this week, which is a big game because I think they play them this week and then they play them in 3 weeks' time. So they're probably going to decide, those 2 matches are probably going to decide who takes home the AFC South. AFC East, I've actually gone a shock here. I'm actually going the Dolphins to win it.
Really?
Yeah, don't know why. I think they've got an easier schedule than the Bills. And yeah, the Bills, although they looked really good on the weekend, I still don't think they're fully firing, where the Dolphins are looking pretty elite. 5th seed Ravens, 6th seed, fifth seed Ravens, 6th seed Bills, and then I've got the Colts sneaking in the 7th seed. But yeah, very interesting. Some big divisional matchups, so I'm sure they'll shake up before next week. Offensive players of the week. Our weekly player awards for week 9. Offensive players of the week. Who are you going for here, mate?
I'll start it off with Kyler Murray. They didn't win, but what he did was just insane. He was carrying his entire offense, almost 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then 100 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown. One of the best quarterback stat lines you'll see all year.
Yeah.
Not too
Absolute
much
beast
to be said, yeah.
Yeah. Who has a better stat line? I was looking at this random match because I was doing some research on Taysom Hill. Just wanted to see what he was about.
Not.
In this college game in 2013, he ran for 256 yards.
From quarterback?
Yeah, he played quarterback, and his team had 72 carries. Jamal Williams had 180 yards. I actually want to watch that match. I want to see what occurred. But yeah, pretty strange. But yeah, anyway, moving on. My number 3 is Richie James Jr. of the San Francisco 49ers. Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, Kittle, Bourne were all out. He was basically the only player left, and he got absolutely peppered, 184 yards with the TD in a losing effort, but nonetheless did quite well. In fact, he had more yards this game than he's had in a single season before. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, he got my 10 votes out of all the receivers, just pipping Devontae and Tyreek Hill. who also had pretty good weeks. But yeah, Richie James, he's my number 3 for this week's Offensive Player of the Week. Who's your number 2?
That bloke was genuinely just wide open, 40 yards down the field every play. It was pretty weird. I haven't ordered these, by the way, so I've just got 3 names. Number 2, Christian McCaffrey. Pretty much almost carried the lads to a win over the Chiefs. Just put the team on his back, as he always does. But 2 touchdowns, 70 rushing yards, 10 receptions, 80 receiving yards. Just vintage McCaffrey. Had a huge game. Unfortunately, has a shoulder concern and is in danger of missing next week, which sucks for him. But the bloke's just an absolute animal.
Sucks for him.
Genuinely does, but yeah, he's a freak.
Nah, he was my number 2 as well. Killed at 151 yards from scrimmage, and he only played 71% of the snaps, which is, he usually plays like 90 plus. Yeah. So if he played the full game, he probably could have gone 200 plus from scrimmage.
Hang on,
I think the Panthers need some credit as well, just quietly.
They did well,
doing pretty well this year.
Was that because he left the game early, or was he just limited?
Nah, the injury was the very last play.
Okay, yeah. So it's just
so I think they were just easing him back in. Yeah. And then the number 1, I think this is unanimous once again, the same as last week. Dalvin Cook, the Dalvinator, 250 yards from scrimmage, 2 touchdowns. He averaged 9.36 yards per carry. 5.4 yards after contact per carry. So just on after contact alone, he had a pretty solid yards per carry. Only played 66% of snaps because I think they rested him after like halfway through the third quarter. So similar to McCaffrey, he probably could have gone 300 yards plus if he played like 80%. And then just thought I'd point this out. He's actually playing this year on $825K. Because he re-signed, but they structured it so he's not making much the first 2. Well, for NFL, he's not making much for the first 2, and then he makes bulk at the end.
Good to see he's going to start getting paid when he leaves his prime.
Yeah, next year he's only earning $2 million again. He does have a signing bonus of like $15 million, but this is his wage. But yeah, pretty crazy to think there was contract issues about Cook, because you'd kind of just be throwing the bank at him if you knew he was going to put up this stuff. But
he's a god.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's your number 1 as well, or your other guy you wanted to mention.
Yeah, exactly right. 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's an absolute freak.
Yeah, he actually is.
I'm getting quite sick of it, to be honest. But but yeah.
Yeah, I'll just honourable mentions. Aaron Rodgers balled out against the Niners, put on a show. Tyreek Hill caught 2 touchdown passes. Devontae Adams, and then Kelsey also played really well, and Taysom Hill, obviously. And then this is a rogue one, but he actually picked up my 10 votes out of the QBs. The ever-efficient Kirk Cousins. Dalvin actually just picking up... Yeah, 220 yards, 20 attempts, 3 touchdowns. Dalvin's actually carrying him in terms of my QB votes. But offensive rookie of the week, who are you going with here? Are you going the obvious or you going rogue?
Is the obvious Sir Jerry Jeudy of the...
I thought the obvious was Tua.
Oh, Tua, true.
Yeah.
I actually
went Jerry Jeudy as well.
Okay, I'm going to change it to Tua. I think I forgot about him. He deserves it. Yeah, looks like a beast. Did you see those plays where he was just like genuinely spinning blokes to avoid tackles and then getting the first down?
Yeah, I can't remember who. He did a spin move on someone and it was like the silliest thing. Like the guy tried to kill him. I think it was Baker. I think it was Butter Baker. He tried to kill him and he just spun him around. But yeah, I agree.
You love to see it as well.
Yeah, he's looking pretty awesome. He had 283 yards, 2 touchdowns against a pretty good defense. So very good second starting match in the league. But yeah, as you mentioned, the other guy, my guy I picked here, the guy you originally had, Jerry Jeudy, 125 yards, 1 touchdown, and he had a catch rate of 50%. Drew Lock
really
is nuking this bloke's stats. Drew Lock has a completion rate of 56%.
Far out, and he still scored 30 fantasy points against me.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jerry
Still
Jeudy,
fuming about
like, if you look at Jerry Jeudy's stats every week, it's like 40 to 50% completion rate. So yeah, I feel bad for him because he's probably being held back. But yeah, bit of a breakout game this week. He absolutely torched the Falcons secondary. Honorable mentions go to James Robinson. He was my 8th voter in the running backs. He put up another serviceable performance, almost cracked the 100 yards again from scrimmage. And then Adam Troutman, no one knows who he is, but he scored a touchdown against the Bucks for the Saints. So congrats to him. Don't know who he is or what he does, but yeah. Defensive player of the week.
Is
I
he a
gave
rookie?
it to. Yeah, he is. I
I'm
don't
pretty
know who
sure
he
it
is.
was like a pretty high.
Yeah, I think he was round 3 or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Around the hundreds, which is quite high for a tight end. Defensive player of the week. I've given it to AJ Klein, a linebacker from the Bills. Yeah, like I said before, I only watched like the second half of this one, but I didn't even know who he was going into it now. Like, he's burned into my brain. He was every single play he was destroying Russ. He had 2 sacks, 5 solo tackles, a tackle for a loss, and a forced fumble. Also had 4 QB hits and 1 pass defended. He moved from the Saints last year because he wasn't getting. Well, I think they wanted to move him on. I think they brought in someone to replace him. And yeah, he's slowly been easing into the Bills system, but there was a few injuries in that line of defense. So he's getting a lot more usage now and he's killing it. But also shout out to Marshawn Lattimore, who once again held Evans to 0 touches when he was playing on him. I think he had 4 catches, but on other people. That's the 3rd time now in a row that Lattimore has held Evans to 0 catches. 6 targets in those 3 matches. And Lattimore tweeted, someone put up that stat line that's 3 matches in a row, 0 targets, and Lattimore retweeted it saying better luck next year. So yeah, it's a pretty funny rivalry. There's been fights in the past. I think last year Lattimore got suspended or something for punching him in the head, but yeah, it's a bit of a gag. I swear he's Boris all year, and then he just turns it on for Mike Evans. But fair play to Lattimore, he did quite well. All right, final section, mate. Oh, you go
first. Do you think Mike Evans is like done being elite?
I don't get why he plays through these injuries, to be honest. Like, it looks like he should not be playing at all. Like, there was a few weeks there where he was basically walking, and they were like, he was playing like 80%. Like, I just think he needed, I think he needs time off personally to get his body right. Hopefully, he can do that in the off season of next year. But I think his body let him down. But yeah, I think he is probably past his peak.
I reckon he might want out potentially next season because
I saw some Bucks fans saying that
he's pretty much their 3rd man now going forward.
And Scotty Miller was having a bit of a breakout year this year. He's probably going to see less footy now with Antonio Brown there. But yeah, Scotty Miller would be a good wide receiver 3 in pretty much any team. So I don't think it would be the worst shout. It'd probably be better for both parties, maybe. So I think that would definitely be on the cards. But moving into your Week 10 picks, mate. Similar to last week, I'll get some quick fire predictions from you. Don't have to overthink it. Just say what you reckon. All right. So first of all, the matchups. Thursday night footy. Colts at the Titans. Who have you got here? This is a big game. Yeah. This one. The Colts win.
I'm going to go the Titans. I just don't. You can't trust the Colts offense. Like, it's boring.
Yeah, I agree.
They're like the Bears.
100%. Yeah. It's going to be interesting, Derrick Henry against that rush defense, because Henry has been a little bit more quiet the last couple of weeks. Eagles at the Giants, huge divisional matchup. Who have you got here?
I'm going to go Giants. G-Men.
Ooh, spicy. Eagles coming off the bye. A few players coming back from injury, but Giants are in good form. Washington at Detroit. Normally wouldn't pick this one, but because Washington are now a candidate to make the playoffs, I thought I'd include it.
Nah, Detroit.
All right.
Easy.
Bills at Arizona. I wrote Bills at Cardinals. Confused me.
That's hard. That's got to be match of the week, surely. I'm going to go Cardinals on that one.
Spicy. 49ers at New Orleans.
Saints.
Seahawks at the Rams.
Nah, Seahawks.
And finishes off Vikings at the Bears.
I'm going
very
Bears.
spicy. That one's Monday night footy. That's actually a good Monday night game.
I think the Bears will stop Dalvin Cook, and then the Vikings will panic a bit. Kirk Cousins will throw 4 picks. That's my prediction.
I don't know what's going on with the schedule this week. There's only 5 games in the early kickoff slot,
really?
And then there's 6 at the second one.
Oh, that's weird.
It's quite, so, and a lot of the good games are in the second one. So I don't know what TV games will clock here in Australia.
Did the Steelers get moved? Maybe because of COVID.
Yeah, they're at 8:25. Mate, the early kickoffs are Boris. I wonder what we're gonna get. So there's Eagles, Giants, Jags, Packers, Washington Lions, Texans, Browns, Bucks, Panthers. I wonder what they'll pick out of those. Chargers are at they have the 8:05. So yeah, we probably won't see that. But yeah, and then a few stat questions, mate.
Yep.
Who's going to have more yards in the Jags, Packers, Aaron Jones or James Robinson on the from scrimmage? I'll cop passing yards as well.
I tell you what, they will both have big games because both teams have very suspect run D. But you've got to go Aaron Jones here. Like I could see him going 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. To be honest, against the Jags.
All right, who throws more touchdowns? Baker or Deshaun Watson versing each other?
Watson. Is Baker even playing?
Actually,
yeah, no, I think he is. Yeah.
Who has more catches, Diggs or Hopkins?
Ooh. You'd want to say Hopkins, but he's been pretty shit lately. Has to be said. But I'll go Hopkins in about. Oh, actually, he's playing on Trey White. No, I'll go Hopkins. He's cornerback proof.
And who has more rushing yards, Lamar Jackson or Cam Newton?
Yards, Lamar Jackson. Newton will probably have 5 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns.
Don't know what the Patriots have 4 touchdowns in them, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's it for today. Thanks for joining me, mate, as always. We'll be back tomorrow for our fantasy episode. Been a pleasure, as always. Thanks for listening. Subscribe if you haven't already. Rate us, review us on the listening platforms. And we'll see you tomorrow.